invitation. I am your host, Hank Russell. Today, man, we're racking them up with these Kumite competitors, and we've got a coach, and he works with judo and jiu-jitsu, and I'm looking forward to talk to him. His name is Marcus West, but on here you're just simply going to know him as Mr. West. Hello, sir.
Hello, how we doing today?
Man, blessed and highly favored. Got my baby powder on ready to go.
There we go.
So, where are you from?
I am from Hamilton, Ohio, born and raised all my life.
And you're not competing in the Kumite, but you have people competing in it.
No. So I am competing. I don't ever tell my students to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So anytime there's something around, if they can get in, I'll get in right with them. Just how I want to be with.
No, and that's great. I don't know how old are you now?
I'll be 40 in a couple of weeks, actually.
I'm
I
41.
spent my yesterday with my grandson, so I'm
I'm 40, or one myself. I'll be 42 in a couple of weeks. But what you said a couple of weeks? When's your birthday?
August 30th. August 30th. I'll be 40 years old.
September 1st.
See, very close, very close.
There you
I'll
go.
actually be in Vegas doing Master Worlds for my birthday.
Remind me what Master Worlds is.
So Master Worlds is basically anyone over the age of 30. I don't know if they do white belt, but I know they do blue and up, and it's every 5 years, I believe, you go up a different bracket, Master 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And everybody from around the world comes to Vegas. I mean, you'll see there'll be 30,000 people there. There's so many competitors, so many different. Then they have a couple different things, but it's mostly old man worlds, essentially.
Well, that's the one thing, I wished I had stuck with, competing, and this is a great time to be a competitor in jiu-jitsu. And, I love it. I mean, the UFC is finally starting to acknowledge it as a straight discipline as well, being marketing. And then, I interview people that are going to this really huge tournament in Thailand here. I can't remember if it's happened already or not. And I've been interviewing them. Then I've heard a lot about this Kumite. And now you're talking about the worlds, and that's jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the Kumite is interesting. Like, I'm actually tomorrow. I'm interviewing my first ring girl ever, and she's the one doing the Kumite.
Oh, she's actually competing in the Kumite.
No, she's actually going to be just a ring girl.
Okay, yeah. So they've done a few of them. I've competed on at least one, maybe more, and then I've also refereed them and then coached some of my guys as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's a. I know a lot of guys that do the fighting and refereeing and cornermen and stuff like that. They don't just have one job.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. The way I look at it anymore, I'm just going out there to roll with my friends in front of other people. I know all these guys. I've known. It seems like a small community, even, but it's very it's vast, I guess, in general. But anybody in the tri-state area that's competed or been around the sport for 5 years or so, I've met or come into contact with, and we're just one big dysfunctional family that likes to strangle each other for fun.
Well, yeah. What about Keith? What's his name? Have you ever met him?
Um,
You know who I'm talking about. Everybody, he's well known in the jiu-jitsu world.
I don't know.
He's British. He's British. So
I may have met him.
you never know. I guarantee he'll probably be at the Worlds.
Okay.
He'll probably be at the Worlds. So
I actually have AJ Agazarm in my division. I don't know if you know that name, but he was a Bellator fighter. He's been in jiu-jitsu for a long time. I'm like, I'm that old. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just interviewed Ron Fields the other day. He was a Bellator
right.
light heavyweight competitor, and so I'd be familiar with it if you pointed him out to me. But at the same time, I haven't seen him. So I mean, I probably haven't, just don't know it, because I've been to a Bellator fight before. So, but the World sounds like, I know you got the Kumite coming up, but it sounds like the World's right. 2 weeks after that, you're going to compete in it as well, right?
Yes, sir. I did a judo tournament with some of my students about 2 weeks ago as well. August is just a fun month. I'm getting ready to turn a year older, so every year I just try to send it as much as I can.
There you
Let
go.
myself know I still got it.
Exactly. And I like your attitude of, if I could do it with, I won't tell my students to do anything I won't do myself. Do you know who Jeff Mullins is? The athletic director of Nevada. the
I do
executive.
not. I know an iron worker named Jeff Mullins. I'm a union iron worker. I
Oh,
don't. I don't know. Yeah.
I work. Well, he's the executive athletic director in Las Vegas.
Okay.
He's from my city, and I trained under him. And he was 49 at the time and had white hair, and he was really he kind of had the same mindset, but he's pushing 70 now, so I just don't think he'll do that now. But
That's the cool thing about a tournament like Master Worlds is you're going to draw somebody in your age and your weight and your belt bracket. Like that's the cool thing about Masters is that's the only place where you definitely know you've got somebody that's everything that you are at that time.
I know it. I wish honestly, millions we are doing well, but I'm hoping that one day that people will fly me out to these competitions and stuff like that, so I can cover them or at least be a sideline reporter or something, so that I can experience this because I've heard so many good things and I just don't have the luxury to be there in person.
Right. You probably won't find any cheap flights now. We booked ours a couple of weeks ago, and we never found them for really good prices. But it'll be a good time. Me and a wife like to go out there and go exploring, since it's a different side of the country for us. Being from Ohio, it's a whole different scenery out there. So we normally just enjoy some of the natural stuff out there when we go.
Yeah, and I'm from Tennessee, so I get it.
Yes, 100%. You get it. The mountains are completely different. It's a different world altogether. Seems like.
I know it. I remember in 2007, I drove through the state of Texas, and I went to the west part. Of the west is the most west part of Texas before you enter another state, and it was called Van Horn, Texas. And I just could not believe how beautiful the mountains were in that part of Texas. And meanwhile, 8 hours earlier, I was on the plains in the desert where there was nothing but oil fields, dry land, and Dairy Queens.
Yeah. Yep. America's pretty cool to travel. I mean, that's a good thing about, like, I started training jujitsu about 10 years ago. My sons have been training for 2 years. Both of my older sons were already training. Uh, but
I,
I started training, and it's taken me and taught me, met me. I've met so many people and been so many places just because of it.
right. How many of your students are competing in the Kumite?
Um, I, I don't know of any of my students, but I have two really close friends who I was very surprised to see jump on the Kumite. I've got Cameron Williams, who just got his black belt. Shout out to him. And then my buddy Smoke. I think he'll be competing under Chris Hale. I think is what, but it's Coach Smoke, and
Yeah.
he's competing as well. So I kind of shamed him into it. He missed out on the judo tournament, so
Yeah.
he he signed me up for this and got himself a match too. So that's actually how I got on this.
Oh, no, I could see that. And, one thing about jujitsu is that since it's not like a full contact sport, but a very respectable discipline, is that you could compete in it until like your later years in life.
Yeah. And like the good thing about it is I work construction during the day, and then I can go and train every night of the week. And as long as I'm smart and I know my training partners and know my body, I can go hard every
Right.
night and still
Right.
be able to get up and go to work the next day.
And you and I are at that age where we have to kind of put our egos aside and tap out to like the first sign of an arm bar, because if you don't, you won't be able to wipe your ass for a month.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm in the more the mindset of don't be there. Don't be there. That's the way I try to be.
Yeah,
Normally if
exactly.
I get caught I don't know. I actually did a match a couple of weeks ago, or what was it, last month? They had a
Right.
Limitless FC in Cincinnati. It's a pretty cool event. I went down there and ended up getting caught in a cross collar. So I'll take those. Those don't hurt at the end of the day.
I mean, that's good. I mean, I haven't competed in 18 years. I didn't, I did mixed martial arts. And back then, it was a little bit more Wild Westy type thing. So I was not ready for, all that. It was very, I could have definitely hurt myself and not had a career. And jujitsu back then was not, there were no black belts in jujitsu where I was from. You got a couple now here, but now, I mean, it's so structured the way that it should be as a sport, as opposed to, what it was in the beginning, which was fine for, but as
At the
these,
time, it was primitive. It was primitive, is what it was. It was everything was really brutish, and you had to be tough to last at the gym because everybody was
thank you.
going hard all the time. You didn't know any better.
I was looking for
So,
I was looking for the way to put that, and I appreciate you saying
yes,
that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. 25-year-old me would have loved to watch a good street fight, but you gotta get the world has changed, and the world needs to be more structured into like a as far as like competition as opposed to you know as opposed to brutishness, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to solve issues, I guess, without you don't have to blood each other up. But we had wrestling matches when I was a kid, and I grew up in a really bad neighborhood. And
Right?
when sometimes those wrestling matches was a little more violent than others, but at the end of the day, you stood up, you shook hands, and everybody was cool, and we was friends. And that's just how I grew up, and that's I believe that would be good for the world, and I think jujitsu is that for the world, essentially.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And you and I didn't grow up on it technically. We
Yeah,
didn't grow up on it. These kids nowadays, I watched the Ultimate Fighter season 33 the other day, watched the final episode, and we forget one thing. The first show was 20 years ago. I was 21 years old at the time, so I didn't grow I watched MMA in 1999, but I was already 15, 16 years old.
right.
You know, these kids were born into it.
Yeah, they've seen the best of the best their whole life.
Exactly. I mean,
And like
yeah.
we grew up in a primitive. I remember I started watching with UFC one, but I was renting them from like a Red Giraffe or a Blockbuster location or whatever
Yeah.
on weekends with my dad. And I would sit there and watch them by myself because nobody else enjoyed the format. And
No,
it just kind of was one of those things that I was always interested in. But it has come so far from that.
right. Who would have thought that like athletic directors, judges, all these things would come into play? Major corporate sponsorships, you know, sponsor, the sponsor is being helped by the sport as along with the sport, helping the sponsor, so to speak. So
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it continues in the direction that it's going as far as being sort of more of a mainstream. I don't want it in the Olympics because I feel like it'll mess up the sport. They give too many rules and everybody else tries to follow them. I like it now where you have so many different events, so many different rule sets, and it's there's something for everybody. Whether you're young, old, there's something for everybody, and people can watch it and be spectator friendly for the most part as well now.
yeah, and that's probably our mature side speaking out of it.
Yes.
That's the mature side of speaking it. Now, obviously, if we were in our early 20s, we probably would have loved being in those like warehouses and garages, watching this stuff where only people that were enforcing it is some guy named Bubba Joe that has a little knowledge but probably has no fight experience.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, Bubba Joe, everybody else is fighting. You're going to be refereeing tonight.
Yeah. You just show up to somebody's barn and they've got a cage in there, and people are betting money on the side in Indiana.
Damn straight, sir. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Where are
But
you from where are you from in Tennessee? There's actually I train at a gym down there when I'm down there for vacation. I go to a Fit Factory in Sevierville with Gene Click.
I'm from Memphis.
Okay. The other side of the state then.
Yeah, yeah,
This is more towards like Gatlinburg.
yeah. They
Yeah.
had a big tournament over there recently, if I'm not mistaken. They had oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name. I interview, I do like 12 interviews a week, so I forgot his name, but they had a really nice tournament over in Cookeville, Tennessee,
Yeah.
and that's closer to that's between Nashville and Chattanooga and Knoxville area. So
Yeah, it's really nice. Every time I go down there, I'll show up at the gym. I've been going down there since I was a blue belt. I'll be up for my professor's stripe in December, so that's 3 years as a black belt. But
oh, so you are a black belt.
I am a black belt, yes.
And that's awesome. I don't get to talk to too many black belts. I just got through interviewing one right before I interviewed you, but he was from Brazil, and he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter in Toronto or
Okay.
somewhere in Canada.
Yeah,
But
so I've been a black belt. December will be 3 years I've had my black belt.
have you had a chance to go to like Long Island,
I
New
have
York?
not or no, no. So the only time I went to New York for jujitsu, we competed at New York University. We stayed in the Bronx at the time, I
Yeah.
believe.
I
So,
always wanted to meet Matt Serra because he was one of the first Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts in this country.
yes, yeah. He'd be fun to hang out with. I'm sure. I'm sure. I just heard his format on getting his older students involved and keeping them rolling and stuff. He does like a 30 and over class, and he's got a different format that I thought about mixing in if I can get with the guys. So
Yeah, no, Matt's was probably one of the, from a outside looking at, more of the humble champions and stuff like that with a lot of charisma.
oh, he was just happy to be there because nobody else thought he should be either. He was just happy to be there. Just grateful. That's how to describe him. Like
A
humble,
hundred percent.
grateful.
100%. I can't imagine. No, Matt, like I said, Matt Serra is one of my favorites, and that's one of the reasons is because of his character. I mean, and you kind of see. I was watching him on the Ultimate Fighter season 33, and you see a maturity. Even like when I started watching him, he was in his late 20s or whatever. But even in his early 30s, he wasn't quite as mature how to handle situations sometimes. But even then, now at 50 in his 50s, he's like doing. He has a very lighthearted way of doing things in a mature aspect, and that's what I love about the guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's trying to promote the longevity of it because not just for his students, but for himself as well. And that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm in there selfishly keeping myself in shape, and they just happen to be a byproduct of it. And I hope I can do good for them as well. But essentially, I just want to make myself live longer and live some sort of a healthy life into my older years. And then if I can teach you guys or you guys do well with what I'm giving you, then that's just extra for me.
Yeah, I mean that's how it should be. I mean, I wish that I had the motivation these days to work out. Like I don't work out anymore, and I should. I need to get back in shape and stuff like
Baby
that.
steps, baby steps.
I know. It's just, man, I love this. One of I mean, there's two reasons why I get into this. Number one, I've been in broadcasting most of my life, even when I was in competing. I was always broadcast first. Competitor for second. But number two, I do this because I want to do my part and I wish I could be the guy to help to help, up and comers, be able to get their shine, so to speak.
Yeah, I get that. So I don't know. For me, it's like lead by example. I I'm grateful to be able to do what I do in any capacity. Just to be able to go out there, just because anybody wants to see me, I'm happy that somebody wants to see me do what I do for fun to keep myself sane at the end of the day.
Exactly.
I work a hard job and I go and train with my buddies or teach at night, and everything else goes away. All that dangerous work or stress from the job, like everything else goes away. Nothing else matters for that little bit of time. I've gotten in shape. I feel better because of it. I leave out of there every night. I tell everybody, I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening. And I mean it because it's my family. And I feel
Oh,
like that's the way it should be.
I agree. I mean, I think that there should be very little loyalty when it comes to growth. But at the same time, I feel like the whole community should be like a family, so to speak. Like I know that a lot of fighters get a lot of crap because they switch gyms and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you get to a certain hump, like I can only show you what I know. This guy may know something else, not better than me, just differently than me. And if you work out over here, I will not take it personally.
Correct. I started out when I started training, my sons were training at a gym here in Hamilton.
Yeah.
I love those people. I still talk to those people, but they didn't have a competition team at the time. So I left and I started training out at George Gurgel's in Westchester because they had more of a competition team. I was competing anyway, even though my team didn't have a competition team. It would be me and my sons, and we would go and sign up for these tournaments, and we would do them, and I would have the guys from Georgia's coaching me because they were always there. So it wasn't anything personal. I just left because we like to compete, and I stayed there because of it.
Absolutely. By the way, you mentioned George Gershell. Remember when I mentioned Ron Fields earlier?
Yes.
He trained out of his camp for a long time.
Okay. That was probably before my time. I started when I was 29.
Okay,
So
yeah. No, this was probably like, I don't remember. I know that Ron's 50 now, so it had to have been at least at least 15, 20 years ago.
yeah. So that was a little before my time. But I mean, Professor George has been a staple in this community for a long time, and everybody knows anything from MMA that came out of Ohio for the past 20 years. His name has been around there.
I
Everything
met
from. Go ahead.
UFC 107 was here in Memphis, and I got to take a picture with George. Really, I was really glad to meet him, and I wished I could have screamed at him and said, "Why don't you use your Brazilian jiu-jitsu?"
It's not his way. It is not his way. He's exciting. He wants to go out there. He always wanted to just put his heart and his soul on the line. He didn't want to use jujitsu. He wanted to stand up and bang because he knew that's what everybody at that time wanted to see.
By reputation, we knew he had a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the problem was that he never really utilized it that much in the fights.
Right. He had pretty jujitsu, but he wanted to stand and bang. It's like the Ultimate Fighter clip where the guy's like, "Let me bang, bro." That was George's style. Let me bang, bro. Go out on my shield. But it's just a sweetheart of a human. I mean, he's a great coach. He does a lot for the kids here. We have probably one of the larger kids programs around. I mean, any
I know.
any given night there'll be 50 or so kids that come through our gym for
Yeah,
judo and jujitsu.
yeah. I need to
So
figure. I need to figure out a way to get a connection and reach out to George Kershaw. Maybe he'll come on my show, but we'll see.
I can talk to him next time I see him. I see him a couple times a week. We actually have a running joke. He's like, I never see you train. All you do is drink beer and eat chicken wings, and you always look good and in shape. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just living, bro.
I'm just eating chicken wings and having beer and looking good.
Chicken wings
As,
and beer and construction, bro. That's what does it.
well, maybe we can make that happen because I'm a huge George Kershaw fan, and I actually I know he won't remember obviously taking a picture with me because that's like saying, you remember that time you signed my autograph at the signing? No, you're not going to do that.
No, but George does love to talk, so you've got a chance. I will certainly put a bug in his ear. He loves to talk, so you've got a chance of getting him on here for sure.
I'll write you in a couple of days if I find out. That's for sure. If you to remind you or something like that, because that would be kind of cool to have George Kershaw in here.
Yeah.
Uh, so so what weight class do you compete at?
So normally they put me. I think they usually put me at 185. Just because, so I walk around at 175. I got tired of cutting weight. I found a comfortable weight where I can walk around all year round, and I can, get a match at 185, and I don't have to cut or worry about anything. I just show up like every
Yeah,
day and have fun. So
I was about
normally
to say.
I'm 185.
I was about to say you're pretty big looking for a 175 or so. That's you must focus on the weights a lot.
It's not for well. I so before I started jujitsu, I like to power lift, and like I said, I've been a union iron worker for almost 18 years now. So everything I deal with is heavy steel forever. So I lift and throw that stuff around all day, or set it with the crane, and then I leave there and I'll lift weights once or twice a week. But just a byproduct of my trade is I have to be strong.
Right, of course, and
So,
that's
and
understand.
jujitsu, I keep the flexibility. I lost some of the size, but now I'm a comfortable 175, and there's not many that can compare with my grip. So it's very nice.
Right. You said. By the way, you said you had a grandchild.
I do. I have a 1-year-old grandson. I had him over at my house all day yesterday. It was awesome, but it wore me out.
Yeah, thanks for making me feel old. I really just like the fact that somebody my age is just, is able to have grandkids now.
You're telling me. You're telling me. I'm knocking on 40, and I had my grandson wore me out yesterday. So just saying that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I just really, it's great. So, I don't know how many I don't know how many granddaddies are out there competing, but I don't want to hear any excuses. We got a granddaddy here that's so how old is your oldest child then? I'm assuming it's
so
your
my
oldest child.
yes, my oldest son is 24.
Oh, so
So
you had him. Oh, so you had him
young.
young.
Yes. Yep.
Hey, that's understandable.
And my middle son starts college next week. Shout out to him, MJ. Uh, he starts college next week, and then I still have a 9-year-old at the house. So I got them all ages, and I got that little grandbaby coming through. Everybody keeps me running.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm glad to hear that, and that's what keeps you young is
That
is
is
having to deal with them. Movement is the best lubricant.
100%, 100%. I stretch out every day and make sure I can sprint when I need to, just
Let
in
me
case.
let me tell you something about fitness real quick. I'll tell you the best advice I've ever seen from fitness and motivation is from these wrestlers, these pro wrestlers, like WWE wrestlers. Man, they talk about like their fitness training and stuff like that, and then you know Triple H was the one who said the movement is the best lubricant phrase, I believe, and you know he had a career ending knee knee injury but came back 8 months later, because of how motivating he was and stuff like that. And he says, man, look, time off is a athlete's worst nightmare sometimes. So I have to keep moving. And if I don't, I'm not going to have a chance at all to come back.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like movement. Everything I do is movement based and balance based. That's essentially my whole game, whether it's judo or jujitsu. Is I keep myself mobile and I keep myself rolling around, so nothing's ever stagnant. As long as I'm moving, then everything stays working. I don't ever get cold. Nothing gets cold. I can't get hurt that way if there's constant movement. So,
Do you ever watch UFC?
of course, I watched UFC last night. That's why I had to sleep in today.
I did too. I did too. I did too. I watched.
It
I,
was
I actually, I actually did a watch party for this.
okay.
On Millions, I do a watch party almost every UFC event.
Yeah, I had my friend Smoke, the one he's also competing at the Kumite. He was over here last night, him and his son. Just me and him hanging out, watching the fights at pay-per-view. The main event was like he just big brothered him,
That's
pretty
all it
much.
was,
They just big brothered him. He didn't want to finish. He tried to finish at the end. He just wanted to big brother him, show everybody he could do 5 rounds
and he did so with ease.
with ease.
I'm telling you. The reason why I was asking if you watch MMA, I don't feel like that judo is utilized as much unless I don't know the discipline of judo that well. I
Okay.
always think the first name I always think of when I think of judo is Carl Parisian. You remember Carl
Okay.
Parisian?
I do. I do.
Why do you think that you can't find any fighters that can do those like high altitude type throws anymore? Is it because people can defend it more?
Islam Makachev. You watch Islam Makachev. He does high level judo. Watch him. Watch any of his fights, and he uses judo in every one.
You
Not
know what?
everybody utilizes it. It's depending on where you come from. You need to have wrestling and judo because you have to be able to get those hips across and make people fly when you can't get into a single leg or something like that.
Yeah, because you remember, I remember like that. Carl Parisian was my favorite welterweight at the time of all time, and the thing about it is that he had this ability to not only make you look silly, but like have high altitude throws. I mean, I remember Josh, the People's Champion Berkman, or the People's Warrior Berkman. He was talking about that judo crap ain't gonna work on me, and then Carl was like, okay. So in the next fight, over his back, flies him in the air, just makes him look silly. And I don't see a lot of that anymore. And I don't know if I don't know why that is.
So I believe the reason you don't is we don't have it in our schools here in America. So they have it in schools around the world, and you'll see it, but you only see like anomalies. Like you'll see like a Kayla Harrison from Ohio, high
Yeah.
level judo, gold medalist. Um, but there's not a whole lot of them that want to go into that, or that their bodies will make it through. If you've done a lot of judo, it's very hard on the body. So by the time you get to a place where you could fight MMA or something like that, your body may not be ready for it. So it's just one of the more brutal sports, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I see where you're coming from. As much as I am, mildly familiar with like most of the gyms in this country, I never thought about that. Judo just doesn't. Judo has its respect, but I just don't think it has quite the following that it should.
Right. It's a little. It's like I said. It's a little tougher. It's you'll find a lot of children's programs, but it's hard to keep adults in through their early years, especially now with jujitsu being so much easier on the body. But if you train at a good jujitsu gym, you'll get a good mix because there would be no jujitsu without judo. That's where it all came from. A little history lesson if you didn't know.
A lot of strength. I know that you use your opponent's weight, but I've never seen a weak judo practitioner either.
Gorilla strong, gorilla strong. Every one of them, gorilla strong.
Like Carl Parisian never had like what you would call an Adonis type body, but man, they said he was just extremely strong. Like they
Just
said,
just the ability to grab and manipulate somebody like that or force them to where you want them to be. I mean,
yeah.
it's
I mean, they said it was like being in the clinch with, it was being in the clinch with Tim Sylvia with him sometimes.
yeah, it doesn't take the biggest person as long as you know where to put the pressure, I guess.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Well, Marcus, before I let you go, I want to know, or I want you to promote the event here. I want you to tell me where it is, when it is, and where guys like me can watch it.
all right, so we've got the Kumite BJJ at the Madison Theater in Covington, Kentucky next weekend, August 23rd. I believe doors open at 5:30. Um, we'll be going till 9 or 10 at night, probably. They'll have food and drinks online. Lots of good jujitsu super fights, uh, and just a good fun family atmosphere. Whether you're coming out to watch your friends, hang out with your family, watch your students, or whatever, it'd be a good time. They got food, drinks on hand, and lots of good matches for everybody to watch. I'm Marcus West. I'll be competing against. I'm not even sure I know him. I love the guy to death, but I'm terrible with names. Sweetheart of a person. I hope to put on a good match for everybody. If you want to
Absolutely.
watch it, kumitebjj.com, I believe is the link where you can find the pay-per-view.
I'll look it up, and hopefully I'll get some. No, hopefully I'll be able to do that. And if you get in touch with George, I'd be love to have him on.
Yeah. I'll talk to him this week as soon as I see him, and let him know you're interested in having him on. So,
Thank
and I
you,
hope you
sir.
have a wonderful day, sir. It's been awesome talking to you.
Absolutely. I'm going to close this out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Hank Russell invitation. You know, you could have been anywhere else today, but you decided to join us, and we love you for it, and we thank you for it every time here on millions.co. I appreciate you as always. And until next time, y'all have a pleasant afternoon. Oh, wait.